Namaste. Hello everyone. Welcome to Shal Gulhati, Shiva and Mysticism for another episode of Monday with Mahadev. Last time I spoke to you about deja vu, time loop and reincarnation. These are three different kinds of channels of time which happen in the metaphysics of cycles. And I tried to tell you that it becomes a little easier to understand these if we visualize a cosmic clock on which these three stand as the needles. So we have the hour needle, the minutes needle, and the seconds needle. And when there is a time when they are all aligned into an ascent, into one point, a point of samadhi, a point of self-realization, at that point we can understand all the experiences that happened earlier to us. All the patterns fit. All the pieces of the jigsaw finally come into place. Today, I'm going to talk to you almost as an extension of that about destiny and karma, and what Mahadev has to do with it and what he does not have to do with it. We often hear people ask, why do bad things happen to good people? All of us know so many good people who suffer or who are blamed for something they haven't done or something that is purely coincidental and not working in their favor. At the same time, we also know some people who are very cunning, not very nice, maybe even evil, but having a great time in life. Some people who are at the best of things, and we feel that they don't deserve this, and neither are they doing justice to what power or empire that they run. But to understand whether we have free will or whether everything is predestined is not as simplistic as, in the beginning God wrote everything and everything has to happen the way that he wrote it. To understand destiny, to understand that God can do anything, is a little different from this, that he wrote everything and everything is predestined. Because if he would do that, then there would be no fun left for anybody else, and it would be like an orchestrated play which would have no scope for anybody's growth or evolution. And I personally feel that that would not be any fun for God himself. He would be more like almost a dictator if that was the truth. I don't think so. I think we have a lot of free will which is given to us, and we all know good and bad, right from wrong, and things like that. If we take the war of Kurukshetra, certainly Duryodhan knew that he was doing wrong things when he was doing them, and his actions led to a whole big war, and he had to eventually pay for what he had done. So to understand free will and destiny, or to understand what is karma and what can God do about it, we actually first need to also understand that the universe is cyclical. It is timeless. It comes many, many, many times for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It is so old, and this cycle of life is played so many times that it becomes almost impossible to measure it. And therefore, what we may have done in a distant past, we may not remember at all now. And then the law of karma, which acts as a very efficient bank ledger suddenly metes out something to us, a payment to us for our past action, and we are not able to correlate why it has so happened. But if there are celestial beings who handle these bank ledgers of our actions, like the Devatas, they too are subject to the same laws of cause and effect. They too are subject to the laws of karma, of their own actions. So if we had an entity who is the governor of a particular place, or he is the controller of a particular tribe, or if he is the president of a certain nation, or then if he is the Devata, the celestial being in charge of a whole planet, or even if he is a CEO of a company, someone basically who's in charge of doing the accounting and meting out justice to his people, and if by chance he knowingly does not dispense that, he uses his free will to not do what should be done, he is subject to those higher laws itself. And therefore, in this fascinating concept of timelessness in the universe, Hinduism believes something astounding. It says often that God Brahma's one day is equal to thousands of years of human beings. And in turn, Mahadev's one day is equal to thousands of Brahma's days. And to understand this mind-boggling math, I will share with you a small learning that I got when I went for a small Tirth Yatra to a place called Shiv Khodi, which is a beautiful cave of Lord Shiva in my own state, Jammu and Kashmir. You must come and visit that sometime. So this was many years ago, maybe 20, 25 years ago, when I was visiting. I met a sadhu, an ascetic, and I was just chatting with him over a cup of tea about what is the placement of Shiva and Brahma and Vishnuji and Ram and Krishna, and what is it about karma and how does it work out with all these people. And he gave me an astounding example. He took out his mala, the rosary, which we are all familiar with, and typically a rosary has 108 beads. And he asked me, he said, do you know why our rosary has 108 beads? And on top it has the 109th bead, which is called the Sumeru and is often marked with this red thread as a sort of crown. And when we go through the rosary counting our japa, we close our eyes and we often do not know how many we've done till we reach the end. And when we hit the Sumeru, we know that we have come back to where we began. And that is how we keep an account of how many times we have done a mantra. So he told me that just like we keep count of how many times, otherwise it becomes immeasurable, we keep a count by the mala. Similarly, Mahadev comes once as the Sumeru when the entire universe has come 108 times. That's right, he actually told me that Mahadev does not take an incarnation. But when he comes, all the others have done that 108 times. That included Lord Brahma and the incarnations of Vishnu like Ram and Krishna and even Devi Parvati. This sadhu's focus was more on Parvati, but he made it a point to tell me very nicely, in a good way, that when Mahadev comes, Lord Ram has been here 108 times, as has Mother Parvati, and then he comes once. And from there I started understanding this play of destiny and karma and free will and Mahadeva. So when we are living our life and we have done some actions, the result of which is not given immediately, we do not really begin to understand the play of cause and effect. And when it accumulates for some time, and then a certain action brings about a certain reaction in the future, we start understanding that though we have a free will to choose our actions, it will always get paid back by the cosmic laws at some time. And by that time, we may have forgotten, unfortunately, what it was that brought this about. Just like when Duryodhan did all the bad things, he never bothered about the future, but it came up to him. So, when the celestial beings who have a larger lifespan than us also do their karma, also do their things, and when we do our actions with free will, God allows that free will, and His main thing is that when the creatures smaller than us, let us say when there is monsoon, we have something called the bug which comes in the monsoon, we call it barsat ka kira, and who will come in hordes into your room wherever there is light, and they will hover around that light for the entire night, and in the morning they are dead and gone. So their lifespan is only one night. They can manage to irritate us or spoil our one night, but that is their entire lifetime. Or maybe they live 2 days or 3 days, but certainly not 70 or 80 years like us. So on the one hand, we have this small creature who does all his life's action in what is 1 or 2 days for us. Then we have us who have 70 or 80 years, and which is just 1 day for the Devatas. And then we have the Devatas who are playing out their lifetime. Indra is the Lord of the heavens for maybe 1,000 years, but that is just 1 day for Lord Brahma. And then we have Mahadev, who comes once when Brahmaji has come for 108 times. So that is straight 108 creations of the universe. So when Mahadev finally comes, just like I told you that deja vu is the seconds needle, the smallest, and the time loop is the minutes needle, and then reincarnation is the hour needle, and when they are all aligned, they fall in place. Just like that, eventually, when Mahadev comes, that is a time when the time loop will gather all the Devis and Devatas, all the incarnations of Vishnuji, all the creatures like the little moths, and up to the mammals and to us and our lifetimes, and align them. And when they are aligned, and when everything begins to sort itself out, that we call the day of Shiva. That we call that the timeless journey has gone on and on from here back to here and reached back the beginning as the end. We all have to reach the beginning, which is Mahadev. We all have to understand that, and we all hope in many, many lifetimes that it should be this lifetime in which we can reach that end where we see the glorious sight of the beginning, which is Mahadev. So I know this episode is a little difficult to understand. You may have to watch it again, because we are, after all, talking of Mahadev, who's Mahakal, and to understand how gigantic his appearance is in terms of time, we do need the help of our mala, which is actually our divine tool for measuring things. And here the mala is lifetimes of incarnations of Devi Parvati. Devi Parvati is the mala. When she comes 108 times, Lord Shiva comes once. And in those 108 times, she would be, as you can imagine, some great mystic like Laleshwari from Kashmir or Akka Mahadevi from the south. And still, even without Mahadev, she would have lived out her life in upholding and helping us to evolve till the time that Mahadev actually comes as the Sumeru, as the Kailash himself, and sorts out all these things. So we should be careful with our free will, and we should make sure that we head towards a destiny which is ultimate merger with Mahadev. I will join you again next Monday with yet another wisdom of Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya.